How's it going? Dane here. It is 4:57 on Sunday afternoon, and in my wife's uh, wisdom suggested that we should start doing these videos ahead of time. So don't be surprised if some of these videos become pre-recorded. To give you guys a plan for the videos, we will be doing a video, two more videos on discipleship, focusing in on small group, which is our main method, one of our main methods for making disciples. And then from there till the end of the year, we will be going through Isaiah, preparing us for Christmas and that whole season, looking at prophecies of Jesus in Isaiah, the coming, Jesus as the coming King, as Emmanuel, as God with us. And so we're going to be looking through Isaiah. So that's going to be real exciting on the video. And then once we hit January, this video will stop. We're finishing up this discipleship series, so I'd encourage you to go back, and if you are interested in getting on board, if you are a Christian and a believer and you want to be a part of Victory IL, one of the most important things that we ask all members and believers to do is make disciples. And in order to better clarify that and better understand that, you can go ahead and check back on YouTube or here on this Facebook page, and look at some of the past videos defining and clarifying what discipleship is and how we see discipleship. We just also finished our second preview service, second of 4 preview services. We're super stoked about that. A bunch of new people came. This time around we had a lot more kids than we had the first time, and just overwhelmed by the people that God is bringing, the new people who not yet know Jesus, who do not yet know Jesus, and the believers that God is bringing amongst us, feeling called of God to work with us and build with us and stand side by side with us as we trust God to bring change and transformation to IAEA and then the world. Benaya is here. It is Sunday afternoon, as I said, and my son is running around. So let's keep on going with this video. This week's video is talking about the goal of small groups, and every church has some form of small group, whether they call it mini church, church groups, community groups. Yes, Benaya, can we what's up? You want another car wash video? Can I finish making this video for all the people before we show you a car wash video?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Parenting is a joy, and it really is. And he's listening in and talking a lot more, but let's see if we can still get this wrapped up in 10 minutes in one shot. Let's see. Every church has some form of small group, whether you call it mini church, small group, community group, life group, home group, Bible study, whatever you call it in your church. Almost every church has one. And for us, we want to define exactly what is the goal of our small groups. These small groups, whatever the name is, they gather for purposes of gathering Christians, studying the Bible. Some are actual mini church services. Others do it so that you can go deeper. For us, we gather for a very specific reason. We gather specifically to make disciples. More than anything else, we gather to make disciples, and that is why we gather. The reality is that most people will not stand up on Sunday and preach or make disciples in that way by preaching to a church. But we do believe that every Christian, every believer can start a small group. Matthew 28 is very clear about this. As we've talked about this scripture over and over again, we see a couple things happening here in Matthew 28. First of all, there's a command to make disciples. This command to make disciples was given not to Dane, not to Bruce, not to the leaders of the church, not to just the pastors. The command to make disciples was given to every believer. We see this further reinforced as Paul teaches on it in Ephesians 12. Secondly, in Matthew 28, we see an instruction to go and baptize people. And then lastly, teach people all the commands of Jesus, and that is what discipleship is. It's nothing more and nothing less, and we believe that every Christian can go out and do that. Continually, continuing to talk about small groups, we believe that anyone and everyone who's a Christian, anyone who has repented of their sins and believes that Jesus rose from the dead for those sins, died and rose again from the dead for those sins, is should be making disciples, because we see that instruction laid out in Matthew 28. We see small groups not as a method to keep people in the church. Rather, we see it as an opportunity for every member to become a minister. See, this is key, and I think very different philosophically than a lot of churches that I hear about. A lot of times I hear people ask, how many members or how many people that attend on Sunday have you gotten in small groups? A lot of times I hear churches talk about creating small groups so that we can close, as we say in the church world, the back door to church. How do we get them in the front door, which is a service, and how do we close the back door to keep them there? And a lot of churches see that the solution would be to put them into groups so that relationships can form, and people can grow in the Lord that way. And although that is a great purpose for small groups and a great goal for small groups, although we hope that is happening in our groups, that's not our number one goal. Our number one goal is to see small groups serve as a venue for every believer to become ministers. For every believer, because we believe that every believer can start their own small group. See, and small group is exactly what it is. It's small. It's 2 or 3 of your friends or people you know or people you met at church gathering together to point each other to Jesus. It's not about one person getting up in the group and having their opportunity to become the pastor or the preacher. It's not about shepherding the flock. It's about making disciples. It's about pointing people to Jesus. We work endlessly here in this church to keep small groups simple so that any Christian can start one. Whether you are 1 day old in the Lord or 100 years old in the Lord, it doesn't matter. We believe that everyone can do what we're saying. Each person has a circle of friends or a sphere of influence that you can reach and that you can lead to and point people to Jesus. And you can start a small group with those people. You could take the activities and the rhythms of your life, whether you gather with other parents, or if you gather with coworkers at work, or if you gather with friends after work. Those are opportunities to start small groups. Small groups can also start with just by one-on-one meetings. If you have a friend or a family member who does not yet know Christ, or who needs to be pointed to Jesus, you can grab them and say, hey, let's grab coffee once a week, or let's get lunch, or let's go have a drink, let's hang out. Whatever it is that you do and that you usually do with these people is what you can do in making disciples. Every member does not need to lead a small group, though. See, every member needs to make disciples. Discipleship is a principle. Discipleship is what we focus on. Small groups is just a method. A lot of us believe this is the best method because you can gather more and you can disciple more than one person at one time. But maybe it's not for you, or maybe you're not ready for that. See, the goal is to make disciples. See, the goal of the small group is to make disciples. And your small group could be just 2 people, you and another person, for years. If you're pointing people to Jesus, you're accomplishing a goal, and that's what we want to see. See, our goal is not to see how many people we can get in small groups. Our goal is to see how many people we can see starting small groups. Some people would want to see 100% of those attending the service in small groups. That's not our goal. We want to see 100% of the people attending service leading small groups. We want to see every Christian, every believer, every member making disciples. That is our goal of small groups. Our goal of small groups is to make disciples. I hope that clarifies it a little bit. Next week on the video, we'll be talking specifically how to start a small group. You say, all right, Dan, I got you. I'm with you. I want to start a small group, but I don't know how to do it or what to do. We'll talk about that next week on the video. So check us back out on Sunday for perhaps a pre-recorded video, and look forward to seeing you. Be blessed. We're praying for you. We love you. Thank you for your support. Keep on praying for us as a church. God is doing great things amongst us. Have a great week. Be blessed.